Welcome to the Box Score Sports Podcast.
Let's start with the Dallas Mavericks. So this is the NBA exit interview for the Dallas Mavericks. If you are watching on YouTube, let us know down below what your off-season moves would be, what you want them to focus on, and grade their season that was. So the Mavericks finished 26-56. They were 12th in the Western Conference, and they got the number 9 pick this year. So give me a pro for the Dallas Mavericks.
I think your first pro, it starts and ends with Cooper Flagg.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to get him, he had his ups and downs. I think he probably got Rookie of the Year based on they kind of let him go wild at the end, and Con Knippel, unfortunately, had to wait for a NBA decision, and the playing game happened.
Yeah.
But just Cooper Flagg, minus some shooting, which we kind of knew would take some time. All of what you thought. The size, the explosiveness, the playmaking, the defense, like all of it, maybe the playmaking and, offense a little further along than maybe you thought after a rookie year. He looks the part of the number 1 pick and everything that we kind of thought Cooper Flagg was going to be coming in.
Yeah, agreed. 21-6-4 were his numbers. It's one of those things when it comes to Rookie of the Year. It's like, do you give it to the person that is producing more, or do you give and he wasn't producing a lot more, but he was producing more than Khan, and he was expected more of, like more was expected of him versus Khan. I think he deserved it. So good for the Mavericks. Good for you guys having Flagg after losing Luka the way you did, which goes to my first pro of the season, and that's them getting rid of Nico Harrison, the firing of him. I think that was good. Unfortunately, an off season too late. But what he did, I think we all will always view that trade as one of like the weirdest trades in NBA history, maybe even the worst trade. Probably not the worst trade, but it's probably up there. But it kind of set the franchise back and to a point where they had to reset. Now they did get the number 1 pick like Cooper Flagg, so that helped. But I would also say him not deciding to change things as well deserved him being fired, like the direction he was going when he got the number 1 pick. So Nico Harrison firing has to be a pro as well.
For sure. And like you said, you trade Luka and you end up getting Cooper Flagg, and it seems like cool all in the wash. Like we replaced a star with someone who's going to be a star. Fair enough. But now you got to build your team back up. And when you had Luka, you just came off the finals run. You could kind of do some certain things. You were already good. Now you got him, but you kind of turn back the clock and you got to build back up. And that could take 1 year. That could take 6 years. So you got to get the rest right in the meantime.
Yeah, agreed. You got any more pros?
It kind of goes along with it, getting rid of Jason Kidd. I just think, Kidd kind of played dumb with, I didn't know about Cooper,
sure.
About Luka, but we know Jason Kidd knew about it. And I don't think Luka's probably not a Jason Kidd guy either.
Right.
Luka's probably not. Yeah. Because Jason Kidd likes things a certain way. He's kind of irritating. And as we talked about when he got fired, he kind of always has a power grab, something in mind. So I think you get rid of the GM. You've always said, I agree. You just got to clean it all. Let the GM hire his guys. That way, if it works, great. If it doesn't, you can start from the top and be like, look, we gave you all autonomy on all these things. It didn't work. So moving on from Jason Kidd, who I think got better as a coach, but by no means like blows you away as like, this is a top 10 dude in the league.
Yeah, correct. I agree with that. And, he did some weird coaching things at the beginning of the year, like Cooper Flagg being the main point guard or ball handler at times. And it's just like, he should be developing some other aspects of his game. So I even thought some of the coaching decisions this year kind of deserved him to be fired as well. So yeah, that's good. They hired Ujiri, right? Masai Ujiri. Yeah. So I'll put that as a slight pro. I didn't have that listed, but when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, they hired a new GM already. That's a slight pro. I'm gonna give it just because he is a capable GM and he's proven that he can build winning teams.
Yep. And I think if he's interested again, I think he kind of checked out maybe a little bit at the end of his Toronto tenure with
Yeah,
some disagreement. But if he's back in, he built up that Raptors team.
yeah.
If he's bought in and he's, eager to work with Cooper Flag and get it all going, I think at his best, he was a top end general manager.
Yeah, agreed. Any other pros?
They moved on from AD, which I think they needed to do. Again, the sunk cost fallacy. Like, did they get as much as you probably ideally want? No, but you never know with Anthony Davis if he's going to play, if he's going to be hurt. Again, just move on. And this is a Cooper Flag team, so let's bring in that era.
Yeah, yeah, agreed, agreed. I also put Nimhard down and Max Christie. They're both young guys. They both had pretty good seasons, all things considered. Nimhard, he seems to be a point guard to have next to like to bring the ball down and stuff. He had one game where he had 23 assists. I think it was one of the last games of the season. So he had moments where it's like, hey, maybe this is a guard we can pair next to Flag. Or at Max Christie shot 40% from three. Again, somebody you want around your young guy to give him some space and a competent shooter and maybe even above competent. 40% is pretty good. So I just think those two young guys, will they be starters? Who knows? But we know that they can have a role on this team, and you're building around Flag again. So a young players to connect with Flag on the young team.
Yep, for sure. And even if Nemhard is your third guard, when your team is good, that's fine if you can get, again, it's just
Yeah.
about finding answers. And if you think he can show some signs and you can develop that, even a third guard, and you might just think, oh, well, a third guard, that as we've seen in the playoffs or in the regular season, it's a war of attrition.
That's right. Correct. Any other pros for you?
No.
Okay, let's get to some cons. Give me your first con.
Derek Lively, I mean, he
Yeah,
only
I
got
have him
7 games.
down too.
And
Yeah.
again, you would love to see him with Cooper Flag on the team, but injuries suck, man. And 7 games, so it's just a wasted season. He's kind of battled some injuries. Um, he's just a young guy that you would like to see playing more to see what you have. But yeah, well, 7 games is just a lost year, so definitely a con to the season.
Yeah, he's 7-1. He's athletic, but it's like it's not just even this season. I wrote down 55, 36, and 7 were the last 3 years. So it's like it's just this, and this is what you kind like with 7-footers who are athletic, you kind of expect like an injury because it's whatever. You're tall and you fall harder and all this other stuff. And it's unfortunate because I really like him. I think he could be paired really nicely next to Luca. Cooper Flag next to Cooper Flag. But if he can't stay healthy, it's going to be a big bummer. So just getting only 7 games, and then also, like you said, with those 7 games with the injury, but also the fact that you're not seeing him get some chemistry and continuity with Flag is kind of a bummer as well.
And it just makes it hard to count on. Like you listed his games played, makes it hard to count on going forward when this is what you're trying to get answers to.
Right, and it's a foot too, so I don't know if the thing that sidelined him for only 36 games the year before, if that was a foot thing, but if it's a foot thing, that's even worse. I should have looked it up, but whatever. Um, I put AD trade as a con, but in the sense of you didn't do it in the off season. You waited until so you brought it up as a good point, like, hey, let's reset, put it, but it's also a con because they waited so long. And so I think AD's value diminished. Like I think if you would have traded him at the beginning of the season or right when you got the number one pick, but Nico's like that was part of the plan to get the number one pick. I don't know if that really was part of your plan. But anyway, I just think like not trading him when his value was higher, you missed out on maybe a young player or a really good asset that you could have had to start building around Flag. So although I do think it's a pro that you handed the torch to Flag, this is your team now. It is a con that they waited so long to do that because the AD was injured basically when they traded him and his value was diminished.
I would agree. You just, again, because you had Nico in charge, he obviously wasn't going to get rid of AD because that was the face of that trade for him and the point he was trying to make. And as we talked about with AD, it's a ticking time bomb. When he plays and he has those stretches, you're like, this guy's going to fetch us two firsts,
Yep.
but you just know something's going to happen. It happened, and then it kind of just turns into what can we get just to get off the contract and just get rid of the headache.
Yep, correct. Any other cons?
I just put Klay Thompson kind of over.
I know.
You know, he still shot 38%. Like, he's always going to shoot, but he can't really play defense after the injuries. He's kind of really limited. He's basically down to one of those guys that you'd either be a short starter or a guy you bring it off the bench, and he's just, hopefully he's your worst guy that you can kind of just park around or come off screens. But you know, for him to leave Golden State and then pick Dallas because he's like, hey, I can compete, and he gets to play with Luka, so he's going to get plenty of shots. To just see Dallas really implode with the Luka trade, you kind of feel bad that this is probably how it's going to end.
Right, that's the thing. Yeah, yeah. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's had just intense and insane moments throughout his history. He had that 62-point game where I think he only dribbled the ball like 3 times or something like that.
What a hero!
Yeah, I just crazy. But there's going to be things that we remember about him. But yeah, the way it's ending is just not great. That's a good one. Okay, I think that's all I got as well. Let's go to what we would have done different. What would you have done different if you were the Cavs this season?
Yeah, I just think the moves that they made, we already kind of hit on it. The only thing I could really come down to was like, you should have just done it before.
Yeah, that's what I put too.
That's from ownership down. Otherwise, like how they played during the year, I guess Kidd threw a lot on Flag early, and it kind of worked through it, but probably not ideally how you'd want it to go. But outside that, yeah, once you suffer these injuries and Kyrie wasn't going to come back because they weren't good, it's not a whole lot. Yeah, it comes down to nitpicking then. And as someone who doesn't watch all 82 Mavs games,
right?
You know, I'm not going to go through and talk to you about the box out and the transition defense or whatever roles. So I just think started with ownership down. Probably would love to reset that once you got that number 1 pick.
I agree. And just along with that reset, whether it was trading Davis and or other of the veterans, like I think even like Middleton, there were some teams like interested in Middleton at the trade deadline. They're like, yeah, we're not moving Middleton. It's like, if you could get 2 second-round picks for Middleton, why would you just not pull the trigger for that? Or even a second-round pick? Like, I just think, again, management, GM, all that stuff's now different, but the last failed. I just think they failed kind of the Mavericks moving forward a little bit this season. That's what I would have done different. I would have been, once I got the first round pick, I would have went hard into the reset. Okay, we're building around Flag, but anywho. Grade their season, Clint.
I gave him 3 stars. I mean, I didn't have high hopes. I think it kind of came in as expected.
Okay. So, according to ours, I don't know if you know this. Do you know how high you picked the Mavs to finish this season?
So you're saying I'm going to have to lower this to like 2 stars is what you're saying? What did
You
I
had
guess
them
I
7th.
Probably had the 7th. All right.
I had them 8th.
I meant 7th worst. No.
Okay. That's fair. Yeah.
All right. 2.5 stars.
Yeah. Yeah. I went 1.5. I was a little hard on them. I thought they would be a play-in 7-8 seed, in that range. I just think, whether it was the coaching and putting too much on Flag, whether it was not resetting their roster quicker, whatever it was, I just think that this season they kind of failed at least at building better for the future, which should have been kind of their goal. So I'm going to give them a 1.5 star.
I think I should add to my text messages to you, where did I choose to put this team when we did prediction?
Well,
this is like the second one where I totally forgot. And I'm like, I don't think I had the Mavs being that good. And then when you're like, well, actually, and I'm like, I did. I probably had them in the playoffs.
I like it, though. I like it because then I put you on the spot and be like, oh, man, no. Well, I that's what I was like, too. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I didn't pick them to make the playoffs, when I'm prepping. So I just looked and I'm like, oh, yeah, we both had them as 8-7. What were we thinking? But we also, I think, thought Kyrie was going to come back, which we didn't talk about the pros and cons, I guess. Like that was kind of another con that he didn't come back this season. But even if he was ready to come back, they probably would have just put him on ice anyway because they weren't trying to win towards the end of the season. So, okay, let's talk about their offseason, Clint. Off-season, they are projected salary cap right now is 164 million, which makes them roughly 40, little under 40 under the luxury tax. As far as big free agents, they don't have Middleton's a free agent, Powell, Nimhard's on the team, so no like huge free agents, I think. They ended up falling to number 9 in the draft. We talked about that on the top. Okay, so what would you like to see the Mavs do this offseason?
So your first is your Kyrie decision,
Hmm.
whether you trade him before or you start the season with him. And there is part of you that would like to see Cooper Flag with a point guard. Kyrie kind of has that skill set. You would like to see someone who could break down the defense and make Cooper Flag like the second creator instead of it all being on him. And then it's just, you got to get more shooting on this team. You got to build it up so that it's a Cooper Flag team.
Yep.
And I think they're going to have opportunities with it. I mean, Chris Middleton has a giant cap hold that you can just remove out of there, even if you just keep. I think his cap hold's like $50 million. Yeah, so you can just remove that out of there. Even if you want to keep him coming off the bench, if he wants to stay, fine. But I think, and we'll talk about this with some of these other teams with cap space, they may be in a good spot of some of the better teams letting their guys go, but these good teams now not wanting to be bottom 3. So being able to pay a little extra to give a
Mm,
guy an opportunity to play, start. So I think the Mavs are one of the teams that if you can scratch loose some guys that you can play that fit around Cooper Flag, rebuild their portfolio, even if
yeah.
it's not long term. I think they're in the driver's seat to do that.
Yeah, I think that's what I would do too, is just rebuild around Flag. You also could be where maybe a team wants to get off a contract and you just like and it's a competent player maybe. Like I think of uh I guess Paul George, for instance, like because you have rookie deals, his 50 million next year isn't going to matter when it's an expiring because you don't have to sign anybody, but you could get a first round pick to take on that contract or something like that. You know what I'm saying? That's an extreme example, but or Christian Brown, like I don't know if you want that contract, but you can be something in which other teams will give you players can play in the league and get an asset with it so that you keep your roster competent around Flag, but you're still kind of building for the future as well. So I think they could do that a little bit.
Yep.
Give me your long shot.
Long shot is just moving on from Kyrie. And I think if you're going to move from Kyrie, I would do it before the season.
Me too.
I just think like sure he could come back and look good and maybe up that value, but he could come back and look toasted. And then his contract isn't prohibitive after this year. It's a player option. So like you said, they can eat that. But I would make a move, find a team, Minnesota, Milwaukee, if they're keeping Giannis, any of these good teams that kind of need a guard, someone they
Yeah.
can convince themselves is a 2 or 3 on the team, and get what you can for that.
Yep. Detroit, you can throw them in there. I wouldn't mind
Yep.
seeing Kyrie for a year on the Pistons,
Yeah,
See,
even like Houston.
yeah,
Yeah,
Houston, there's another one. Him and his buddy KD could get it done. Yeah. And then you could get assets, whatever assets you can, but I think you could get a young talent with him. It might not be like a high end young talent, but like a young talent enough maybe where it's like sort of compelling or whatever that you're like, hey, maybe this could be someone that could play with Flag. But yeah, I agree. I'd move off of Irving and just start building around Flag the best you can. Okay, anything else on the Mavs?
I, I don't think so. Just it's the building up process, and congratulations, Mavs fan. You had to deal with Luka. You got Cooper, and they finally cleaned house, and you're getting a new stadium. From my understanding, on the north side of town, the city teams are kind of moving out of the downtown areas, which is, I think, kind of unfortunate, but it's new. Have fun watching Cooper Flag while some of the rest of us watch our team.
Yeah, your team. My team's fine.
Yeah,
I got Cade. So
for now, no.
Don't say that. No. Okay, fair enough. Okay, for everybody listening, again, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below how you felt about the Mavs season and what you think they should do moving forward. Thanks so much for watching this clip of the Box Score Sports Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter or X. And we'll talk to you guys real soon. See ya.